Is this thing on? Man, it's felt like it's been off for way too long. I apologize, my YouTube fam. I've really been letting you guys down on the video drops. I've had some complications on my end, which has made it incredibly hard to get out and put legitimate content out, you know? Like sometimes life gets in the way. But no more excuses. 2022 is my year to drop some very valuable, very pertinent information in regards to stocks, cryptos, investing, long-term, short-term, and maybe even some options trading. We'll see. It tends to be a little risky, but maybe worth the risk. Anyway, we're going to talk about what we're going to talk about in this episode, which is going to basically just be where we left off. Stock investing for dummies. Comprehensive reviews. So what we're going to talk about today, it's the meat of the book. We're like a little over halfway through at this point. I think I have one more video worth of content for you guys to check out on this before we switch up the gears and hit one of those other books over there that have really kind of helped me as far as my investing journey, understanding the market, figuring out what strategies to use to read price action in the market and to be able to make confident decisions. But nonetheless, I'm going to say it now, so I'm going to say it later. This is not financial advice. I am in no way, shape, or form a financial advisor, but what I will tell you is I'm a damn good bookworm, and I can break down the book like no other. I'll leave it up to you, though. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think over what we're going to talk about here. Any questions or anything else? Without further ado, let's get to it, shall we? Come on, what we got? So, Paul Lajinovic has epically crafted chapters 12, 13, 14, and 15 to reflect just this. Decoding companies' documents. These are some things that we're going to touch upon. Basically, I got a letter from Genius, and I had no idea what it was at the time, but it was basically a shareholder's letter. We're going to go over that a little bit in that one. Emerging sectors and industry opportunities. So this is for the up-and-coming stocks that are going to have blowout years, something that nobody predicted, or something you probably could have seen coming. If you follow the news, follow the proper outlets. I kind of got into something like this with Lithium Americas. We'll talk on that one too. Small caps and motif investing. This is where it all started. Trying to find some penny stocks that I could afford on my budget that could really go to the moon. And quite a few of them did. A couple of them didn't. But I mean, that's all part of the learning process, right? And then finally the big eco-political picture and how that weighs and plays into stocks and how that can really affect your portfolio. So this is why you got to stay up to date with all news outlets, stay plugged in, be it Facebook, Twitter. You have to be in the know because a lot of these different factors can affect your portfolio in ways that you couldn't even imagine. So what goes into decoding companies' documents, you say? Well, let's hop into it. Great place to look for resources, though, is priors.com and Wall Street Journal. It's going to have a lot of the information you need there. Arm's reach at all times, Wall Street Journal. Definitely a ton of information in there that is going to help you kind of understand what's going on with the market, make sense of what's going on with the market. But furthermore, we're going to talk about some companies' documents like the Form 10K, the Form 10Q, which basically is a quarterly version of the Form 10K, but moreover just SEC mandated financial statements that are supposed to be given like refreshers on a lot of this financial ongoings with certain businesses. What's an annual report going to tell you? I know we've touched on this before, but we'll go over it again because it is ever important. It's where you really define what your company's doing. This is kind of the meat and potatoes of kind of defining, how well your company is doing. So anyway, earnings, sales, letter to the chair, dear stockholder, balance sheet, and are they making or losing money? That's what it's going to say, right? In most cases, you want to hope your company's making money, but due to a national pandemic, your company might be losing money. But there might be some great silver lining. Gray lining, what the heck? Anyway, silver lining in that. So with that, you're always going to want to look in detail and what that states and how it's going to affect your stock further down the line. Value Line Investment Survey looks at largest publicly traded stocks. Standard & Poor's stock reports and industry surveys are very good detailed summaries. Generally 2 pages or so on each stock. Gives a rating based on its financial strength, generally the technicals, but other outlets where you can look for some things that can help you kind of decide whether to invest in one thing or to not. Brokerage reports, Moody's Investing Services, and some insider reports that are out there. Sometimes some statements are made from people who are inside the company, whether it leaks or whether it's public access. Either way, it's going to be beneficial for you to be on the front lines of kind of receiving some of that information and deciding which way to go with it as far as shall I invest or shall I pull my stock. Emerging sectors and industry opportunities. So there's been a lot of emerging sectors coming out of the COVID era, I guess you could call it. And while sectors, I'll say this now, while sectors refers to like a group of stocks, ETFs or securities, a look into an industry is a more concentrated analysis into what that sector is comprised from, i.e., here I said healthcare is a prominent sector spanning insurance, medical equipment, pharmaceuticals, over-the-counters, and retail drugs or certain hospitals that are owned by multiple people. But furthermore, what we're looking at here is not only a specific industry, but how that industry is, or what that industry is comprised of. So when we're talking marijuana, we're not just talking cannabis itself. We're talking about everything that goes into cannabis production, testing, products. There's a lot of little micro industries that are really thriving inside these thriving industries, and for you to get a jump on it, it's going to help you out tremendously in investing. Some key stock sectors, some of my favorites anyway, are listed there. Some of the most beneficial. I don't think I left out any other than precious metals and natural resources kind of going hand in hand. I'm a big natural resource guy, especially with what Biden and the new regime is kind of bringing into play as far as what they prioritize, a kind of a greener world, and that's kind of helped, not even kind of, it has really helped propel a lot of those stocks upwards. So keep that in mind when you're investing as well. Who's in charge, what kind of laws they're going to be making, and I'll save that for chapter 15. Small caps, IPOs, and motifs. So small caps, basically stocks that have a value that is under $1 billion. Micro caps under 250, but small caps are going to be the ones that I personally focused on. I feel like micro caps can be a lot more risky. Small caps can be just as risky, but if you do your homework and have faith in a stock, obviously you got to believe in what you're investing in. That comes first and foremost. But it's going to give you a chance to kind of benefit off its growth, maybe from the ground level. But basically, for investors like me, when I first got started, who had little to buy, or little to spend rather, to buy a stock with, select a single company or group of stocks, such as an ETF. Now, why I didn't go the ETF route, I still kind of argue with myself about, but I did learn a lot of things from picking specific stocks out of certain sectors and kind of putting my money into those and seeing which way they go. But before going in, you got to obviously designate some risk capital. If you don't have the money to spend in the first place and stay out of the market, I definitely bombed an account. I can confidently say that because it definitely was a lesson, a learning opportunity more than anything else. And from that, I've been able to build multiple beneficial accounts or profitable accounts. But that's neither here nor there. Diversity is also very important. Becoming proficient in an industry. I have my antenna out on several of those that we listed in the prior slide. And I've been studying those for a little over 2.5, 3 years and trying to figure out what makes them tick, what makes them go up and down. And it definitely takes a lot of homework. So don't think it's going to be understated to where you are going to have to get in there and kind of do some digging. Subscribe to a website, dig in on their technicals, get into their charts, get into anything that's going to help you kind of decide, well, is this a good investment for me? So you want to become proficient in what you're investing in. Buy some, sell some. So this is not being too attached to a stock, right? So I have had plenty of stocks in my day where it's like, man, this thing's killing it. This one's doing great. I want to hold on to this forever. But there's a time to buy. There's a time to sell too. So buy some, sell some is a big one. Insider disclosures is going to be super helpful, and limit orders are going to help you from stopping out before you lose your entire hat, let's say, in a trade. But basically, it's a way to limit loss or to cut loss. Goal when investing in small caps, mine personally, to see some long-term growth. There's short-term speculation that can be made as far as breakouts are concerned, or short squeezes are concerned rather. But when we're talking long-term, we're looking for a breakout from a trend that may be a downtrend, or maybe we're trying to play it on the way down and get in on some puts. But I got a little smart art to kind of show you how or what the book kind of helped define what makes small caps tick. Its ability to scale is definitely important. Earnings also very important. If your company's not making money, then what is it doing? And is it innovative? Does it help people? Is it creative? Does it spark anybody's creativity or get people going? Eco-political picture. Now, what does that even mean? It basically means that there is a wider scope to what can cause stocks to move, ebb, and flow. And these things can be systemic or they can be non-systemic. Basically, systemic means it can happen to all the players inside a specific niche or motif. And non-systemic, not so much. So maybe it's a specific stock that's being targeted for a loss, or that's seeing a crazy outbreak, and it's not going to share its ripple effects with the rest of its sentimented stocks. So big economic political picture can mean a ton of things, from how tax changes, how new laws being implemented, regulations, interest rate, money supply, how all these things that have a lot to do with politics and the economy as a whole can really have a direct effect, sometimes adverse, sometimes not so much, but a direct effect on stocks. Now, other reports we really want to watch out for, especially because they're dropped very frequently, and you can see spikes in reactions from the market in regards to how these move. Consumer price index, producer price index, the unemployment number, which coming out of COVID, even though we're still kind of in it, it's lingering a little bit like a bad cold, but the unemployment numbers have gotten a lot better, especially in the past 8 to 12 months, which is a great denominator for the market and for the economy as a whole. But it also means some things about inflation that a lot of people don't take into consideration. NFP, or the non-farmers payroll, is I didn't even realize this, the non-farmers payroll, I'll say it again, is an incredibly insightful indicator as far as how everybody outside the farming industry is doing, and just kind of a temperature check into how things can go. GDP, gross domestic product, as far as what a country or specifically a country can put out as far as producing and consuming. And then the Federal Reserve's announcements, anything that Jay Powell has to say, anything that anybody political has to say, that they have to get on TV and make public announcements about it, you're going to want to be tuned in. Definitely going to be taking notes. I'm going to want to know if it's going to affect your sector directly, indirectly, and how to move thereafter. But that's it for the slideshow. So let's transition to something else. I did want to take a step back from the teaching moment and kind of share with you some things that I've personally been investing in, that I've seen a lot of success with, and or that I haven't seen a lot of success with, but still have strong conviction in, still have belief in. Definitely hodling to a lot of my stocks, because while I do like to play options and I do have some swing plays, I have several more plays that are longer term that have definitely paid dividends. So we can hop into that right now. First and foremost, we'll put that up on the screen for you. Lithium Americas, one of my OG stocks, and when I say OG, I mean it's been there since like day one. I had conviction in this stock from the moment that I got invested, simply because of its utility. Its case in lithium batteries, be it on a electric blower, be it in your cell phone, be it in your future electric car. Lithium is going to become an ever sought after resource, and that's going to cause the price to go up. So to be invested into a company that has interest in that and an expanding market share in that is ever important. We can see what Lithium Americas has done in the past year, which is nothing short of spectacular. And I think this is, I mean, it's early, but it's not too, let's put it this way. You can still get in with a great position right now just based off all the competition that's building in the sector. Let's talk about EVs. Let's talk about everywhere else lithium is used, okay? It's not just the EV sector that's going to be fighting or prying for those resources. We have the cell phone makers. We have the yard utility makers that are getting away from gasoline powered engines and then are moving more towards electric and battery powered engines. So these are all things you want to think about there. Second one that I have been into and have been really liking its movement, although we're kind of on the back end of a breakout right now, is uranium energy and all its attributing factors. Basically, uranium is a primary component that goes into bombs. It is something that is kind of going to be a touchy subject for some people, I know, but I'm just trying to see what works, find ways for it to work for my portfolio, and uranium has done just that. So look into uranium. Those are lithium and uranium are two that I've held tight to and have really had a lot of conviction in. The solar sector is another one where I have some holdings. EV sector, of course. Shout out Lucid Motors. Your cars are beautiful. Fisker Motors. I blanked on it for a second, but Fisker Motors, your guys' tech is looking beautiful as well. That race down the line is going to be insane. Lucid, Fisker, and Tesla. Whoever comes out on top, believe it, it's going to be a fun one to watch, but you're definitely going to want to have a horse in that race. And I definitely think I found my competitors, even if they are underdogs. But without any more being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. These videos take a good amount of work to put together, so the fact that you tuned in and watched the whole thing means a lot to me. Smash that like button, throw a comment down below if you have any questions about anything I stated in the videos or anything you just want to talk about, you know, up and coming IPOs, what hot stocks are coming out next, or, you know, throw out some ideas on what you're investing in or what you're into. Maybe give me some motivation or some encouragement to move one way or another in that regard. But nonetheless, we'll see you guys next video. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.